The matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 17 was an instant classic. But this Sunday is going to be something else. The Chiefs were narrowly defeated against the Buffalo Bills in an electric divisional round game, but a combination of a Bills defensive collapse and the magic of Patrick Mahomes sent the Bills packing. Meanwhile, the Bengals went from a 2-14 squad a year ago to having an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl to represent the AFC this season. Ben, I'm going to start with you here. Do the Bengals have what it takes to knock off the Chiefs?
Do I believe that they do? Yes, of course. I just believe that there's a lot of things that have to go right, and I'll get to those here in a second. So first of all, I don't think the Bengals can afford to fall down 10 or 13 points, whatever it was last time. This Bengals team came out early and scored, and it was 14-14, and all of a sudden it was I believe 27-14 or 24-14. Either way, Kansas City, if they jump out to a lead like that again, I believe that Kansas City at home, AFC Championship, will take advantage and run away with it. The Bengals, though, have every bit of offensive talent to come out, score early, and just keep scoring enough to win this game. Can Jamar Chase replicate that 266-yard, 11 catches on 12 targets, 3 touchdown performance? If he's anywhere near that, I believe the Bengals win this football game. But even if he doesn't, look out for T. Higgins. I mean, I can reference last week with the Bills and Chiefs game. The Chiefs made a clear effort to take away Stephon Diggs, who finished with 3 catches, 7 yards. And what does Gabriel Davis do? Have 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. So look for those separate players. If the Chiefs look to take away Jamar Chase, look for T. Higgins or even Tyler Boyd to then step up in reserve roles against the weaker part of the Kansas City secondary. I know not having Tyrann Mathieu played a pretty big part in the game we saw out of Gabriel Davis, some of the other Bills pass catchers. But regardless, with how talented this Bengals skill set of receivers is, whichever one they focus most of their energy on taking away, I fully believe the others will step up. So that's one big thing. Also, Joe Burrow cannot get sacked 9 times this weekend again. As he was in Tennessee, Tennessee's offense wasn't good enough to take advantage. When they were getting the football back after these sacks, they didn't go down and score and pull away. If Kansas City sacks Joe Burrow anywhere near 9 times, they will get the ball back to their offense, and they will go score and run away with this game and put up 45 points. That's another big thing that can't happen. So it's more, for me, the things that can't happen rather than things that – because I know the Bengals are going to score points. I know that the Bengals are also going to get enough points. But if they want to win this football game, those are the couple things that can happen. Burrow has to stay clean. I know he has mobility to get out of some sacks. It's not to the degree that Josh Allen had of running the football and the QB sneaks, but he is going to have to avoid that. One last thing I want to go over. How will Eli Apple play? I would assume guarding Tyreek Hill. Will they use Jesse Bates to shadow Eli Apple and Tyreek Hill and thus leaving Travis Kelce with a more vulnerable matchup? What decision will they make there? Because although I think Eli Apple's had a pretty nice season, had some really good games, he at the same point is still closer to the same guy that we saw getting cooked with both the Giants and Saints, and especially with the role that Tyreek Hill is kind of on with the last 2 games. If it's anywhere near that, Tyreek Hill can run circles around Eli Apple. So that's another big thing. Last thing I want to hit on that I've seen in the news this week is how this Arrowhead noise is going to impact the Bengals, who haven't played in like Cincinnati's atmosphere is nowhere near the atmosphere of Arrowhead. I don't think people are even taking consideration. Hey, the 2 best players on the Bengals, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, literally played in the SEC and went and won.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, so I just don't get that narrative that I'm seeing this week that, hey, they're going to get there and not be able to deal with the Arrowhead crowd and noise. I saw this team go to Tuscaloosa in that raucous environment and drop 40 points or whatever it was and beat Alabama. That doesn't worry me whatsoever. I just figured I would throw that out there because I just thought that was funny, the things that some people say on why their football team will win a game, the most like random stuff. And I'll do it too. It'll be like Kirk Cousins wins at this time specifically against this opponent. It's just funny stuff like that, but I don't see the issue being a problem with the noise because these are, I mean, even besides those, T. Higgins played at Clemson. All these guys have had experience in noise.
Well, I will say this. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned the noise, by the way, because Zach Taylor, actually, when they practiced this week, he turned up the stereo so loud that they couldn't hear one another. He turned it as loud as physically as he could. So they're fine. But like you said, Ben, do they have what it takes, the Bengals? Do they have what it takes? Absolutely. But I don't think they're going to do it, unfortunately. The reason I say that is because, well, Kansas City has won 7 consecutive home playoff games dating to 2018. And the other thing is Cincinnati has just scored 3 touchdowns on 22 offensive drives in the postseason. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And Ben, like you said, you cannot possibly get sacked 9 times and expect to beat this team. You just can't. The Bengals simply cannot overcome a second week of Burrow taking 9 sacks. It's simple as that. The offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, The sacks were results of three things. I don't care that somebody lost a one-on-one matchup or Joe Burrow was holding onto the ball too long or communication issues. That's no here or there. They got to be able to figure this out because if you're getting sacked 9 times, you're losing this game. That's just the reality. Patrick Mahomes has come into play. There's no secret. But I will say this. You must limit every explosive play possible to Tyreek Hill. This dude is lethal, and he makes people look slow. Okay, that's just clear. Okay, in my opinion, you said Eli Apple. The eyes will be on him. I think it's going to be a Woozy that the eyes are going to be on him, the top cornerback. Now let's just say this: he did play a significant role in Cincinnati's win over Kansas City this year. In fact, he limited Hill to 31. I think it was 31 yards actually and 8 targets. But he's got to do it again because Tyreek Hill, once he gets loose, this game could be a blowout for all I know. Obviously, Cincinnati, they got Joe Burrow. They got Jamar Chase, like you said. You got Joe Mixon running the football. Obviously, you got Tyler Boyd. You got T. Higgins. You got all these good weapons. But no one's really talking about their defense. I like what I've seen from their defense lately because that's been a question about the majority of the season, in my opinion. You got Logan Wilson. You got Von Bell. You got Hendrickson. You got Sample. And you got Jesse Bates, who's been phenomenal in the secondary throughout this entire playoffs. But will the Chiefs win this game? Yes, they will. Will the Cincinnati Bengals make it close? I believe so.
Well, real quick, Ryan, and I promise I'll get to you. The Bengals have a very good at the back end of the secondary, like you mentioned, in Von Bell and Jesse Bates. And I talked about Bates, but I didn't mention that because Bell's a very good safety as well. And I think that played in to the fact that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in that Week 17 matchup combined for 65 yards. The two playmakers didn't even get to 70 combined. And no receiver on the Chiefs had over 55 yards. And that's because they took away the deep stuff.
Before I give it to you, Ryan, I will say this. The Bengals need to realize that Patrick Mahomes is not Ryan Tannehill. Go on.
All right, I'm going to be that guy, and these takes, if they make you laugh all you want, because they're going to be some big takes.
Okay.
The first take is going to be, I think this is going to be the Joe Mixon game. I think that he is going to have a good amount of yards because obviously the Chiefs know that Jamar Chase, Higgins, Boyd, what have you, are going to be Chase is obviously going to be the number one guy who is going to be guarded very hardly. I think that opens up a lot of teams for Mixon to do things. Obviously, being a Packers fan, seeing what Jones was able to do in that game, getting him the ball more in the passing game, I think Joe Burrow is going to allow to that. The second thing I'm going to say is I think that the Bengals are going to have a big defensive play in this game. And then the third and final big thing I have to say, get ready. I think the Bengals win this game on a game-winning field goal.
Really?
No other than the man who's been nails for the Bengals field goal kicker. Obviously, his name has just completely erased my mind right now. But
McPherson.
Yeah, McPherson.
Mick
He's
Money.
just been, Mick Money. He's been so good. And I know that's such a big take, but I just think the Bengals have what it takes. And I'm not doubting that you guys haven't said that. They just haven't been there in so long, and they're ready. They're ready. They're ready to go. And I think that Joe Burrow is just going to light it up. Now, I'm not saying Mahomes. Mahomes is a very good player.
Oh, he's lighting up regardless.
100%. You know what? I'll just say another big take. I think Logan Wilson sacks Patrick Mahomes in this game. Logan Wilson has been huge. Ben, I'm going to believe what you said here. I think actually Jesse Bates is going to be the man to guard Tyreek Hill. I think he's had an outstanding playoffs. Not saying Apple hasn't, but obviously the first throw of the game in Tennessee, Bates is able to intercept that, and I just think that the Bengals just have some magicry in defense going on right now. McMoney has been amazing. I think the Bengals get this thing done. It's going to be close. I'm going game-winning field goal.